And Marco Pasqua has been involved in everything from the Rick Hansen Foundation to speaking about the business model for inclusive hiring.
Sounds pretty cool. Let's join Vancouver's Grant Hardy and meet Marco.
My career path has been interesting, and as a kid, I wanted to be a doctor. But I realized that having cerebral palsy, being spastic, would not necessarily be great for your surgeries. My name is Marco Pasqua. I'm an entrepreneur, accessibility advocate, accessibility and inclusion consultant with a group called the President's Group, and I happen to have cerebral palsy and use a manual wheelchair to get around. My entire life, I wanted to be involved in video games because I thought that video games would be a way of creating worlds and characters that had abilities beyond my own. And I worked at one of the biggest game companies in the world for several years. I had a focus on accessibility from the get-go, looking at it through the lens of how can we make games more accessible for people. I gotta say, I'm so happy that we were able to put up a website called accessibleemployers.ca.
After his job ended, Marco decided to pursue public speaking, focusing on accessibility and inclusion. However, it wasn't an easy transition as Marco was reluctant to become an advocate.
There are times where people who maybe don't have a disability just see you as standing on a soapbox. I wanted the disability not to be the factor and more for what I was doing for the community and impacting other people's lives to be the focal point. What I've created is a framework for building authentic relationships. It's called the CUBE principle, which is an acronym that stands for Creatively Utilize Your Best Energy.
Marco developed the CUBE principle as a practical tool for people to use in their lives.
Not everybody has a disability, but everybody can relate to overcoming challenges or going through circumstances in their life. And so if I package it in a tangible way that has steps for them to recognize a challenge, understand what they need to overcome it, and what energy do they have to put forward in order to get to that next stage. Everybody can understand that regardless of their abilities, and it hopefully will give them a way of saying, you know what, these are tangible steps for me to go out there and accomplish the things I want to do in life. And by the way, the guy that spoke about it, he just so happened to have a disability.
I think his words are very powerful and his passion when he speaks is very contagious. My name's Tara Roberts. I'm the Manager of Support Services and Accessibility here at the City of Surrey. Marco makes a difference. When he takes on a project, when he takes on an initiative, he just doesn't do it a little thing. He follows it all the way through, and he'll see that project from the start to the end. It's the relationships that he makes with the people, the community, the staff that makes a huge impact.
While working with the City of Surrey, Marco supported several initiatives, including the city's inclusive hiring strategy. And that's no accident, because when it comes to employing people with disabilities, Marco is both passionate and direct.
So because somebody has a disability, they've had to look at challenges or opportunities in their life in a completely different way than somebody who would maybe potentially be considered typical or not disabled. And so by bringing that same perspective into the workforce, employers have seen massive changes to their organization, both in productivity and efficiency. So there's a lot of great things there.
Hiring a person with a disability is not about charity. This is about employing somebody who has amazing skills and attributes to bring to the workplace, and Marco is a great example of that. My name is Kristen Bauer, and I'm the Manager of Diversity and Inclusion at Band City.
A financial cooperative with a strong social mandate, Van City is a supporter of the President's Group, a network of BC business leaders who are advocating for more inclusive workplaces. And as one of their accessibility and inclusion consultants, Marco can put his advocacy into action.
He's got a really bright future ahead of him. I mean, he's had a career as an amateur athlete, a motivational speaker. There's so many things that he can do that he has already done and that he's capable of. And I know that there's just a million other wonderful things ahead of him.
Anybody can go out there and do what they want in their life. It may mean that you have to make some adaptations and that you have to have more of an inclusive network around you, but it is possible. Don't get down on yourself. Understand that your differences is what makes you unique, and those unique talents are what you can truly bring to the table. Because it is possible to repeat these things for yourself and really accomplish what you want in life. Thanks very much, guys.
Marco is charismatic and very knowledgeable. He has great advice, whether you have a disability or not. Reach for the stars, be inclusive of others, advocate for yourself, and don't get in your own way.
I guess we could all be reminded of that from time to time. For more information on Marco and the work he's doing, you can check out his website at marcopasqua.com.